I want to go through this 1994 Kenner toy guidebook. Some old 90s action figures in here. See if there's anything I used to have or want to collect. We got the Legends of Batman stuff. I definitely remember seeing these. Some weird kind of throughout history kind of Batman figures. Little crazier poses and stuff. We even have Nightwing here looking a lot like his comic book appearance. Lots of Elseworld tags on here. Kind of like alternate reality and timeline Batmans and stuff. It was an interesting concept. Something to go by to give him some more costumes and stuff. And then we go into the Batman animated series. Of course, remember watching that, but I actually didn't get really any of the toys of it. I already had a lot of Batman stuff from the first two movies. Had so many toys. But it was always tempting to get a lot of the supervillains because they looked exactly like their cartoon counterparts. But then we just have lots of other Batmans with all those different color costumes and gear. Probably would say the villains are the highlight of this Batman animated series. Killer Croc, Joker, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, even the movie Phantasm, having a figure here. Mask of the Phantasm animated movie. Lots of little vehicles here for the animated series. The Batmobile looking just like the cartoon one, and the Bat plane also. So designed very specifically for the cartoon. A lot of other little vehicles here too. The Ultimate Batman, which is just the movie Batman, not really like the animated series costume. And then the old Batcave Command Center playset redone again from yet another time for the toys here. Kenner got a lot of mileage out of that playset, released it for almost every Batman toy line. But it had everything, had like the industrial side on the back, the Batcave on the other side. It did have a lot going on to it, so whichever one you got had the same features and stuff. And of course a little role play costume there, probably redesigned from the movie stuff too. Aliens and Predator. I definitely did not know about Alien movies when I was a kid, or even really Predator that much. So I do remember seeing these, but they would always make these toy lines of these R-rated movies, and I was like, how did any of the kids see these movies? There's no way. It is something I would be interested in now, because I've seen so many of the other films from both of the movies. Funny that the toy line got it right, but the movies haven't really been able to capture the verses very well. I mean, the designs do lend themselves to the toys quite well. I might hunt down the old Predators. That would be kind of cool to collect. Carzillas. Motorized. Transforming wheels. Some kind of wacky car toy I don't really remember. They'll have cool little themes and stuff. Kind of interesting. And back into the sport figures, of course. Starting lineup, always present in the 90s with Kenner. All kinds here. Here's some like stadium, like the stand base. That's kind of interesting. Sports, not really my thing. Couple kind of play hoops. Now this figure I can kind of get here, where it's the figure, but you can also kind of shoot the ball with this little mechanism. That makes a lot more sense to me. Like you'd play basketball with the toy, or play with the figure, whichever way you're gonna do it. For real, trying to shoot into the hoop, or just kind of playing around. And of course, all the other little shooting games, trying to get the ball through the hoop, makes sense to me. But yeah, we got a lot of these Shaq figures. Interesting to look back and see now. Techno Zoids. I do remember seeing these and kind of wanting them in a way, just because they looked cool, like they could go with about anything that you played with, kind of having these robot creatures and stuff. And then the electronic ones on the other side, definitely tempting because they could do stuff. Iron Kong. Oh, gee. I bet these were pretty pricey, so not one I delved into. Plenty of toy lines I wanted that I saw, but kind of had to pick and choose my battles of what I could get several figures of. I didn't like to just have one figure of something. I like to have the complete collection. Here's a good example of that with Jurassic Park. Never got to have a single one. Watch the movies all the time, even as a kid. I would have loved to have the toys, but I just kind of had to pick and choose my toy lines I kind of targeted and tried to get a lot of figures and vehicles from. Didn't jump into the Jurassic Park, even though all the figures looked really cool, like characters of the movie, but they kind of done up as like super action figure with all these like missile launchers and nets and a lot of made up stuff just to kind of expand the toy line even past the movie. And of course just the pure dinosaur toys would have been good for about anything, but never even got like a T-Rex or anything. It'd be a tough one to jump into now, because I'm sure those are highly sought after to kind of collect all the Jurassic Park action figure stuff. It'd be tempting, but can't get it all there. A lot more there with the The electronic sound ones, different accessories like catching the dinos. Seems to be before Lost World here. This is just Jurassic Park. Some vehicles that we would see in the Congo toy line I don't see advertised here. I do have a video all about that toy line. Got a big play set though. That would be really cool. I just don't have any space for something like that, but just imagining having all your dinos and figures with that. That'd be a pretty sweet collection. The Shadow. Yeah, this is when they were really confused with movies. Like, Batman movies had the success, so they're like, oh, okay. They made the Phantom, and then they made the Shadow. Not quite what people were really wanting, I don't think. I have finally seen the Phantom movie, but I've still never seen this Shadow movie. Always remember seeing all the toys, though. Getting different versions of him. They seem pretty cool, but again, I've never seen the movie, so I don't know. A little too old age comic to be made into a movie for me. That I was just kind of like, probably could have been done to appeal, but I think they missed the point that Batman kind of had a special appeal that they weren't going to get out of some of these other comic books with their 90s adaptations. I'll say these vehicles look pretty awesome. That taxi, although it kind of just makes me think of the Fifth Element that would get released like later. But those are really cool if you had the full-size cars to go with those figures. But I kind of missed the hype on the Shadow deal. Off into Nerf, of course, all the different wacky dart shooting guns. Didn't have too many of those, but the appeal was wide for them. There's a lot of classic ones here. I mean, any kid would like to have a whole armory of Nerf guns to play with. Classic ones like the bow and arrow and the ball gun, of course. I think I had a version of this Missile Storm one. Remember it rotating. They were a lot of fun. You could kind of imagine whatever you were playing, whoever had like the weaponry. Some sportier little game stuff, throwing the darts and things. Some cooler themed Nerf guns here. Maybe some suction cup shooting ones. Those look very 90s, that's for sure. Max Force. And the old footballs, of course. Always remember the commercials for like the screaming one, kind of blowing through the air, making the screech sound. Some other sporty stuff there with Nerf and the Ricochet remote control car on the back. Kind of worked no matter if it flipped over or not. Pretty genius design on that one. There's a lot of feature remote control cars that I was like, anybody would really want them. They were like fun for anybody. Smart design. Lots of old retro 90s toys. That's typically what I show here. My collections I had as a kid or newer ones I'm getting to complete or start collections of. So you want to stick around here on this channel if that kind of stuff interests you. Kenner and any other brand as well. Toys of the past to enjoy. Learn about or have a little nostalgia trip remembering them if you already know all these. Definitely got some ideas from this book. That Predator stuff looked pretty sweet. Hoping to see you in the next video if you're up for the challenge. Woohoo, 90s talk.